All right, there you go. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the GRadulting Workshop series. My name is Debbie McCutsky, and I'm the Coordinator of Services and Programs for Graduate Student Legal Aid. I use she, her pronouns. So today, our focus is health insurance in the U.S. and health insurance for you, our UMD graduate students. Before we get started with the presentation, I just want to make sure that you know about legal aid. I hope you never need our services, but you might. We have an attorney on our staff who helps students with domestic issues, and we contract with an outside attorney who helps students with immigration issues. We have advocates on staff who help students who've been charged by the university. I'm a notary, so I can help you with notarizing documents. And if you paid your student fee, then you've already paid for our services. So there's no additional charge and no excuse for you to not ask for help. So I will post a link to our website in the chat, and you can see how to request an appointment. Just a few more things. Near the end of the workshop, I'll post a link to an evaluation form because we need your feedback. Please take a minute to fill that out. After the workshop, either later today or tomorrow, I will email links to the survey, the slides, the recording, and any other resources that we share today. So those links are going to get posted on our website as well. If you can't find the email, just go to our website, gradlegalaid.umd.edu. And finally, we welcome your questions and your comments throughout the workshop. You're going to use the Q&A feature, not the chat. Please use the Q&A for your questions. So let's dive in. I am so pleased to introduce our speakers. First up is Robin Kotzker. She is a program director with the University of Maryland's Graduate School. She wears many hats. The hat she is wearing today involves, well, she is the coordinator for SHIP, the Student Health Insurance Plan. She oversees compliance and enrollment matters. So Robin, you've been here before. I want to welcome you back again. Thanks for being here. All right, and then next up is another speaker who will join us in a few minutes. His name is Boyce Morin, and he is the Vice President of University Health Plans. He is the representative that Robin and our whole health insurance team works with. So without further ado, I will pass things over to Robin. And I know, Robin, you'll be sharing your screen.
Yes. Hello, everybody. And before I begin, I thank you, Debbie, for introducing me. And we look forward to seeing Boyce as well join this call so that he can help us understand the insurance system a little bit better. Debbie, I'm just going to hand off the reins to you with regard to admitting folks, so that I think I have admitted everyone in the waiting room at this point. I just want to make sure you
Sounds good.
Okay, so all right, so I'm going to share a bunch of slides. There's about 10 slides total, and I just want to let you know that what my role in this is to help make sure students are aware of what UMD requires in terms of health insurance. So I'm not going to get into information about insurance terms or other kinds of insurance specific questions, and maybe Boyce will be able to address those. My role here is to talk to you more about what you need to do as a student at UMD in terms of enrolling in the student health insurance plan or opting out of the student health insurance plan, and important dates and important information about charges on your student account, those things. That's what I'm addressing today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's get there. Screen number, where is it? Number 1. Okay. Debbie, if you can just confirm that everyone is now seeing the health insurance blue screen and on everyone's, is everyone?
We are. It
Okay,
looks
great.
good.
Everything's there, terrific. And all right, so my name is Robin Kotzker. I work at the graduate school, and I have last year, we started requiring all graduate students who are registered full-time to have health insurance. It is some pretty new requirement, and all students must show either proof that they have insurance or they need to enroll in the student plan. So those are the details that I'm going to go through right now. My contact information will be at the end of this slide presentation. Let me get to the next screen. That's what I'm trying to do. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to read this screen and just I'm going to go slow because this is a very confusing process and there's lots of rules associated with it. So let me just bear with me as I read this through with you. All graduate students enrolled full-time in a master's or doctoral program at the University of Maryland College Park campus must have health insurance coverage. And I'm just going to add something here. The default plan is the student insurance plan, but you can opt out of that plan depending on your circumstances. The next thing I want to say on this slide is if none of the students present today are part-time, most likely, but I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that full-time students are required to do this. But if students are enrolled on a part-time basis, they are not required to participate in the enrollment in the student health insurance plan process. So the second bullet here says part-time students, non-degree seeking students, students enrolled in certificate programs, exclusively online programs, or other programs at Shady Grove campus are encouraged to have health insurance, but they're not required to have health insurance according to our policy. Of course, unless your student immigration status requires insurance. So that's a detail with regard to your visa status that I'm not involved with. But if you know to maintain your visa, you need to have health insurance, then yes, you would need to have health insurance. And there are lots more details available on the graduate school website. We have a health insurance information page, and I encourage everyone to look through that. There's lots of tabs, lots of little pieces of information that might pertain to you at different times throughout your time here. So that's part of the issue or part of the challenge that we have is everyone's needs are different. Your circumstances are different. And so what the answers to your questions might be different based on your circumstances and your situation. So just keep that in mind. Everything is hard to have one answer for a question. You have to know the circumstances that a student is presenting in order to answer a question. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the baseline here. The student health insurance information, the student health insurance plan named SHIP, the acronym is SHIP. So every time I talk about it, I'm probably going to use that term SHIP. SHIP is the default insurance for all full-time students. And full-time students mean that you're registered for 48 units. I can talk more about units at another time, but for now, just know that if you're full-time, 48 units is normally when you have a graduate assistantship and you're enrolled in 2 or 3 classes, you would be full-time. And if you're enrolled in 3 courses, normally that's full-time. But again, the whole conversation about units is a little bit different, and I can provide information about that later. But let's just assume that you're entering this and you're here full-time because you probably are full-time. Full-time students must either enroll or submit a waiver to opt out of SHIP. So you either have to enroll in SHIP or you have to waive out of SHIP if you have alternate insurance. To enroll or waive, you go to this website that's listed on the slide. This is the Academic Health Plans website that will enable you to enroll or waive out of SHIP. The enrollment and waiver process happens during open enrollment, and right now we are in open enrollment. It ends on September 19th. So the next thing I want to talk about here is another option for some students is the State of Maryland Employee Plan. So these are different plans. The Student Health Insurance Plan is the basic student health insurance plan that is available to all undergraduate and graduate students. The State of Maryland Employee Health Plan is only available if you have a graduate assistantship and you have an appointment to work in your program, either teaching a course or working in a lab, something like that. So that is what a graduate assistantship is. And we have on campus, many graduate students are supported by a graduate assistantship. So if you have a graduate assistantship, you have a choice to make. You can either enroll in the Student Health Insurance Plan, or you can enroll in a State of Maryland plan, which is a benefit that comes with a graduate assistantship. More information about the State of Maryland plan can be found on our Human Resources site at Maryland, and there's the link for that. So if you are a GA, a graduate assistant, and you choose to enroll in a State of Maryland plan, then you must opt out of the SHIP, because if you don't opt out of the SHIP, you will be charged for SHIP. So basically, no matter what you decide to do, the one thing you do have to do is go to that AHP website and enroll in SHIP or submit a waiver to opt out of SHIP. So there's action required for every graduate student. So another option for all students is you can enroll in an external plan not even related to Maryland. If you already have insurance through your spouse, or if you have insurance in another way that is approved, acceptable insurance, because when you submit your insurance information, proof of other insurance, it goes through a approval process. So if you have insurance from another source, you have to submit a SHIP waiver, and it goes through an approval process. And if it's approved, then you're fine. If the charge on your account that you might already see would be removed. So again, action is required for all graduate students. You have to either enroll in SHIP or opt out of SHIP. And if you're choosing to opt out of SHIP, you have to submit a waiver, and that waiver goes through an approval process. So here, this slide has a lot of information on it, but it's basically a slide designed to help you understand a few differences between the Student Health Insurance Plan and the State of Maryland Insurance Plan that graduate assistants would be able to opt into. So again, the default insurance plan is SHIP, but if you are a graduate assistant, you have the option to enroll in a State of Maryland plan. So oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so this sort of goes through some differences. Like I've mentioned several times, that SHIP is the default insurance plan. And if you look at the State of Maryland insurance, the only people eligible would be those who have a GA SHIP, a graduate assistantship. If you have other so again, I'm going to go through just the SHIP side right now. So SHIP is a default plan. If you have other acceptable insurance, you must opt out of SHIP. To opt out, you need to submit a waiver by September 19th, which is the end of the open enrollment period. And if you enroll in SHIP, you're covered for a full year. The insurance premium for SHIP is charged to your student account in 2 installments, one in fall and one in spring. And if you go to the last bullet here, the SHIP carrier is called United Healthcare Student Resources. I didn't add that, but it's called United Healthcare Student Resources. And more information in general about SHIP can be found on the AHP website. AHP stands for Academic Health Plans. So that's if you decide to enroll in SHIP. Those are some important pieces for you to know. If you are a GA and you decide to enroll in the State of Maryland Insurance Plan, here are some important pieces for you to know. Students who hold a GA SHIP can opt into the State of Maryland plan during the first 60 days of becoming a GA. So you have 60 days to opt in. Again, it's available to only graduate assistants. If you choose this option, the GA must submit a SHIP waiver. And now the interesting thing here is GA offer letters are accepted in the waiver portal. So because if you are deciding to opt into the state of Maryland plan, you won't get your ID card yet. It takes some time. So AHP has elected to accept your offer letter as proof that you will have state of Maryland insurance. So keep that in mind. State of Maryland coverage begins the first day of the month following your GA start date, and it ends when your assistantship ends. So it is completely tied to your GA ship. The insurance premium because it still costs some money to enroll in the state of Maryland plan, so you will pay a portion. Your portion of the insurance plan will be deducted from your GA stipend that you get every 2 weeks. And that's an automatic process. And the carrier options for the state of Maryland insurance can be found on this Human Resources website. This is, there's 3 or 4 different carriers that you can choose from, and the cost will vary depending on the carrier that you choose. Okay, so a couple times already I've mentioned academic health plans. AHP is the acronym we use. They are the SHIP administrator. They are the ones that handle the enrollment and waiver process for the student health insurance plan. The AHP website provides a lot of different services, and they're listed here. It allows you to enroll in SHIP. It allows you to waive out of SHIP. It also provides you with links to plan materials, basically so you can learn more about the actual health plan that you would be enrolled in. And remember, I said the health carrier is United Healthcare Student Resources. They have a customer service option. There's a chat feature right up there on the website, so you can ask questions of AHP. They have an additional resources button to connect you to United Healthcare. And they have a Get Help tab where there's a video library and there's glossary of terms, and there's lots of things that can help you understand insurance a bit better. And today we have Boyce Morin. I'm going to introduce him shortly because my presentation is almost over. And Boyce Morin represents academic health plans, and he's going to be able to provide you with more details as far as that goes. So here's some takeaways. I'm being very repetitive here because I just want to make sure that it's clear. So some takeaways from my presentation are all full-time registered students must participate in the mandatory enrollment and waiver process during SHIP enrollment. SHIP enrollment is now through September 19th, 2024. So once students are registered full-time, the cost of SHIP is actually charged to your account. Once charged, you need to activate your SHIP or you need to submit a waiver. So people are at various stages. Sometimes people waive even before they get the charge. If they're very proactive and they're able to, students can waive before the charge hits. But many times it doesn't work that way. A lot of times students don't realize they have to do something until the charge actually hits their student account. So if you see the charge hit your account and you don't want the student health insurance plan, then you need to actually submit a waiver, and it has to be an approved insurance plan that goes through the approval process. A waiver is good for 1 year. So you need in order for you to waive for this academic year, you need to waive by September 19th, 2024. And then next August, you'll need to submit another waiver for the next academic year. So every year you do have to waive during this period of time. If you do not submit a waiver, if you don't act, if you don't enroll and you don't submit a waiver, then you're going to be charged for SHIP and you're going to be responsible for that price. So you're going to need to pay attention to making sure that you actually waive every year. And this is your first opportunity to waive for this year. And then the last point I want to say is if you're not full-time and or if you're at a different campus like Shady Grove, or if you I'm trying to think, if you're a certificate student, all of those students do not have to participate. They're not part of the mandatory waiver process, but they are eligible for SHIP. If you would like SHIP, if you're a student who is here because you're on if your degree intent is to have a certificate, then you are eligible for SHIP and you can enroll. So just contact, go to the AHP website to voluntarily enroll. If you're not full-time registered and you want SHIP, you are eligible, is the bottom line. And here are some resources. I've mentioned a few of them already. One thing I did not mention is the University Health Center, and they are a really excellent resource because they're the ones that really partner with academic health plans to make sure that the enrollment and waiver process goes smoothly. So please email them at their email. They have a the UHC-insurance email with questions about submitting a waiver, with questions about enrolling. Any question that you have about insurance can be submitted to them. And academic health plans, contact information is there. The United Healthcare Student Resources, this is again SHIP. This is the contact information for the student health insurance plan. And the next one down is the UMD Human Resources. That would be the contact for a state of Maryland insurance plan. And I've mentioned this website before. On the graduate school website, we do have a health insurance information page. Please go there for other information. And then the last bullet, the last contact information here is healthcare.gov. Some students are eligible to purchase a plan through healthcare.gov. You can go there to see if you would be eligible for that. So that's the end of my presentation. So I'm happy to take questions. I'm not sure if we're taking questions after mine and then after Boyce's. I don't know or if we're waiting for the question and answer after Boyce.
Will you and Boyce be covering the same information or different?
I think Boyce has different information.
Okay, we do have some questions that relate directly to your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, welcome, Boyce. You have a beautiful background, and I'm glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
I am
great to be here.
Excuse me. Let's address these few questions that came in from Robin.
Sure.
Okay, so first one. If I get a waiver based on my offer letter, but later decide to get an alternative insurance provider aside from the state of Maryland. So what if I get a waiver based on my offer letter and then decide to go get something different?
Oh, technically, I think that would be okay. If once you submit a waiver and it's approved, it is good for a year. So that should work. And Boyce can chime in if there's something that I'm missing.
I would just add that they should contact academic health plans to update that waiver information so that we have the most recent information.
Oh, that's very important. I'm going to actually add that to my website. Thank you, Boyce.
So,
all right, and I posted a link to the website so y'all can refer to that and find out how to get in touch with academic health plans. All right, next question.
Good question.
Can you enroll into the state plan halfway through your graduate assistantship? Like if you are covered for a certain portion of your graduate assistantship by another plan, and then you need to switch for the last portion.
Mm-hmm. So yes, so there's two ways that can happen. You can either, when your other insurance plan ends, that would be considered a qualifying event, and you can enroll in the student health plan with a qualifying event, or you can enroll in the state of Maryland plan with a qualifying event. But the other option is the state of Maryland has an open enrollment period in October. So that if that event that you just spoke about happens during the same time as the open enrollment for Maryland, then you could enroll in the state of Maryland plan during the state of Maryland's open enrollment, which is October. The plan would start January 1st. So if so there's lots of little things that you'd have to know about, but the answer is yes, but then there's some caveats. So you need to make sure you have all your details straight, and you can talk to the University Health Center, or you can ask me as well to see if the timeline is going to work out for the different things. But a qualifying event is often what is chosen to enroll, and once your plan ends, you get an end of coverage letter if your plan ends, and then that end of coverage letter is used to help you enroll in a different plan. State of Maryland would accept a qualifying event. The student health plan would accept a qualifying event.
Robin, could you define a few examples of a qualifying event?
A qualifying event is if you lose your insurance based on loss of a job, if you turn 26, because in the United States, you have, you are forced off of your parents' plan. So if you're turning 20, so if it's that kind of ending, so birth of a child is a qualifying event. Boys, is entering the country also a qualifying event? For example, if they end up coming here at an odd time, does that qualify?
On the student plan, yes, I can't speak for the state plan.
Right. Okay. So again, the thing is, everyone presents with different details and different circumstances. So you would want to make sure that your situation, the right path to follow for your situation. So you might need to contact University Health Center. You might have to contact academic health plans or me to help assist you with navigating that.
All right, thank you. All right, next question. My GA appointment should start on August 26th, but I haven't opted in the state of Maryland insurance yet. Haven't done the enrollment process. Does this mean that after I opt in, my coverage will still start from September 1st, despite it already being September 3rd?
Yes, is the short answer. Yeah, if your appointment start date is up to August 30th, actually, if it's up to September 1st, and you have 60 days to opt into the state of Maryland plan. Anytime during that 60-day, if you opt into the state of Maryland plan, then your start date for the state of Maryland plan would be September 1st.
Got it. Okay, next one. Can we make an official suggestion to have SHIP enrollment be opt-in instead of opt-out? The current method seems predatory.
I will take every suggestion that we can take, and we'll weigh the pros, the cons, the choices and consequences. But thank you.
All right. What is the annual final insurance amount for full-time students enrolled in SHIP?
The annual total amount would be I haven't done the math recently. It's 1045 plus 1449. So I can't do that math in my head.
What was that again, Robin?
It's 1,045.
Yeah.
And 1,449.
All right. So let's say that's about almost $1,500.
Almost 2,500.
I mean, I'm sorry, 2,500. Thank you. All right. Next one. Can we waive SHIP in the spring semester and change their insurance plan?
So you're saying you would have SHIP for fall, and you want to, for example, opt into the state of Maryland plan for the spring. Is that what I'm hearing? I think so.
It sounds like that.
Okay, so yes, but you'd have to contact academic health plans to have them reset your waiver in the system so that you can then waive out of SHIP. So basically, if you've enrolled in SHIP for the fall, but want to or found a different plan for the spring, you can make that change midway only if you contact AHP so that they can reopen your waiver status, because otherwise you'll be charged for spring.
Okay. I am here for PhD and have started classes, but I haven't started lab work yet. Would I qualify for the GA appointment plan?
Well, the question for that is, do you have a graduate assistantship yet? If you have a graduate assistantship right now, then you can, then you are eligible for the state of Maryland plan. But if you don't have a graduate assistantship yet, then you are not eligible for the graduate assistantship plan.
All right, that seems clear. All right, I am a full-time grad student, and I wasn't aware of the state of Maryland insurance policy. Therefore, I have mistakenly gotten the SHIP insurance. They've also processed my insurance ID. I now want to opt out of SHIP and enroll in the state of Maryland insurance instead.
So since we are still in the open enrollment period, I do believe they will honor that. So what you have to do is contact UHC Health Center, and the email is in the presentation. I can re-show that in a minute. Contact the University Health Center at that email address and let them know that you've made about this whole thing. You enrolled in SHIP in error. You would like to opt out now. They would have to reset you in the system so that you can submit a waiver.
All right, thank you. All right, I need another Tdap vaccine and a blood test at the university clinic since I'm an international student. And the university clinic claims that if you are enrolled in SHIP, the cost of the vaccine and the test will be covered. But if I enroll in the state of Maryland plan, are they still covered?
That's a difficult question for me to answer because I do not know different plans at Maryland in terms of what they cover and what they don't cover. That's not my expertise. Most likely tests like that are covered, but the one thing to keep in mind is that when you have SHIP and you go to the University Health Center, any copay, which we haven't really talked about yet, but there's sometimes a fee involved in going to the University Health Center. When you go to the University Health Center and you have the student plan, there's no fee. But if you go to the University Health Center and you have a state of Maryland plan, then they will charge you a fee. So it's just one more piece of information that I did not include in my presentation. So I want to make sure you are aware of that. So to answer that question, really, you'd have to really dive into the different plans and to know what they cover. So that we won't be able to do here today. That's a question for the plan, the carriers. And so I don't have that answer. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what happens if a student forgets to get insurance after getting a waiver? And can they still get the state of Maryland insurance plan in October?
If you hold a graduate assistantship, then the answer would be yes, you can enroll during the open enrollment. And that coverage would start January 1st if you did it that way. But I highly suggest that you don't forget to enroll in insurance, because that's why we have this whole process in place to make sure students have coverage and are insured, but with insurance. And I think Boyce's presentation might speak to this a little bit more.
All right, we're going to do just 3 more questions and then we'll pause and let Boyce present, and then we'll be able to take more questions. Does that work for you? Okay.
Yes.
So here's another question. When the insurance card is available, does it state August 1st, 2024 to July 31st, 2025? It is my understanding that I am charged for the insurance both in the fall and spring.
Okay, I think the answer to both of those questions is yes. I'm not sure if the ID card actually says the end date. Does it? Do you recall that, Boyce?
I don't believe it does, Robin.
Okay, it doesn't have an end date. So, but for all intents and purposes, you know that you're enrolled when you enroll in SHIP, it is an annual plan, period. And so if you want to keep SHIP this year and you want SHIP next year, it means that you have to enroll this year and you have to enroll next year.
All right.
It is an annual plan.
Thank you. On the website, it seems there are also bridge periods listed in addition to spring and fall.
So the bridge plan is only for students who are graduating. It's only for a specific kind of student. It is for students who are already enrolled in the student health plan, and they need to extend their coverage for 1 month. Normally, this means that it is a student who is graduating in August, or it is a student who is waiting for the state of Maryland plan to begin. So it helps you get coverage for that month of August, but it has to be for, the only eligible students are students that are already enrolled in SHIP.
All right. All right, last question before we move on to Boyce. If my GA ship is for 9 months from August to May, will they lose insurance in the summer months, or is it for a whole year?
So that's a really good question. And that question is, I expect it's coming from a person who has a GA ship. It's a 9.5 month GA ship or a 9 month GA ship. So the answer to that is your summer will be covered only if you also have that GA ship in the fall. So if you have a GA ship now and you have it for this year, and you will have a GA ship for next year, then yes, you will have summer coverage in the state of Maryland plan. But if for some reason that GA ship does not start in the following fall, then your GA ship will be, your insurance will terminate along with that first GA ship, the 24-25 GA ship that you have now. It ends in May. And if you do not end up with another GA ship in fall of 25, then you will not have summer coverage. So those are all important things. There is on the website, there is a summer information tab. So take a look at that. And if you have additional questions, you can contact me.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Robin. Boyce, welcome from Chicago. Do you have some slides to share with us?
Good afternoon, good morning. Not sure what time it is. So I apologize for the background. I'm on a campus in Chicago. I'm praying that maintenance does not come out and start mowing, because the day that I've been having, there'll be a big lawnmower coming by or something going on. So my name is Boyce Moore, and I'm a consultant whose specialty is in student health, and not just insurance, but also just kind of like health and well-being, for example. What I'm going to talk about today is kind of twofold. The first is just some basics about how insurance works, regardless of whether you're on the SHIP or on the state plan or on mom and dad's, just, things to help you navigate the system. Michigan State did this study probably 8 years ago, and they found that there's 11 reasons that students drop out of school unexpectedly, 2 of which are academic, and 6 are tied to health and behavioral health and in stuff that having access to good care is very critical. So we'll just talk about kind of that, and then I'll get into some details about SHIP. I'll try to avoid anything that Robin touched base on, because I know this can be a dry subject. First off, I'm just going to start by stating the obvious. Health care is crazy expensive. So about 2 weeks ago, my son had some bloating. He went to the ER. They found this mass in his stomach. They did exploratory surgery. He's 20 years old. Everything came to about $250,000. Thankfully, we have insurance with a great out-of-pocket maximum. But the whole, like, we're young, we're invincible, like, this could be a situation that if you make the wrong healthcare choice, you're going to end up having to choose between paying medical bills and tuition. Every year, healthcare costs seem to go up by about 8.5% to 10%, and some of that's inflation, and some of that's utilization changes and shifts and in new patterns. Give me 1 second as the group passes by. So health insurance in general is regulated. It's filed and approved with regulatory agencies. All the plans that you're going to see are generally will include what's called essential health benefits. So outpatient, inpatient mental health, maternity, et cetera, et cetera. Not all plans are exactly the same. So you will see differences in cost sharing and in network, and some exclusions. My advice is do not look purely at the lowest cost. Look at things like deductibles in networks. Just make sure that you're actually covered when you have access. A couple terms that you'll see, won't spend a lot of time here, but any plan is going to have a premium that you have to pay. And on employer plans or individual, those are generally on a monthly basis. The plan, once you pay for that, when you access care, will have an annual deductible. So this is the amount that you're going to pay before the plan pays for most services. And then beyond that, you'll have one or two types of cost sharing. One is called a co-payment, which is a flat dollar amount. And one is called co-insurance, where you pay a percentage of what's been negotiated. Regardless, any plan that you either buy on the exchanges, through the state, on SHIP, will have what's called an out-of-pocket maximum. So if you have a $250,000 claim, you're not paying 20% of that. It does cap out at a fixed amount. From a plan perspective, so the most common type of plan that you're going to see is what we call a preferred provider organization. Basically, you can use any provider that you want to use, but if you use one that contracts with the carrier, three things will happen. First is that they're going to bill on your behalf instead of making you pay and submit. Second is the benefits are more robust, so you have lower cost sharing, so there's an incentive to see preferred providers. And the third is that the amount, if they charge more than what's been negotiated or what's been considered reasonable and customary, they have to write that off. They cannot balance bill you, whereas non-preferred providers can do that. My advice always is do not assume that PPOs are the same. There's a lot that are geographically based, that could be state-based. You really want to make sure that you are covered while you're on campus so that you don't have to go home for non-emergency care. This just gives a sense as to like kind of what is on the market from an employer perspective. Obviously, premiums are a lot higher. The average deductible is much higher, as is the out-of-pocket maximum. On the exchanges, the premium's a little bit lower because the benefits are a bit higher and there's some subsidies. But again, this just gives a sense as to kind of what's out there. So on the student insurance plan, so we talked about the eligibility requirements. To make sure that everybody has insurance, it is an opt-out. I made a note about the opt-in, but the reality is that there'd be a lot of uninsured students who would not opt in, and the premiums would be very high. Student insurance, what we like about it is that, you know, as we talked about issues with network and deductibles, we have really low deductibles. We found that if it's too high, students go from avoiding or from dissuading unnecessary care to avoiding necessary care. The network that we use is a national PPO. I think roughly 98% of all care that UMD students are accessing are from preferred providers. So on campus, at home, on vacation, et cetera, et cetera. The on-campus clinic co-payments are going to be waived there. And then there's medical evacuation, repatriation, and a few other student-friendly pieces. We talked about the cost for students and dependents and the effective dates, so I won't beat that up again. Again, from a process perspective, if you do absolutely nothing, you'll be automatically enrolled, and that will happen after the deadline once we know who's still a student and then who's actually waiving out. If you know that you want the insurance, take 5 minutes, go online, say, yes, I want the insurance. We're sending files over to the insurance carrier several times a week, so you'll be put in either situation. Your coverage is backdated to August 1st. But if you know that you need it, if you're getting immunizations, just take that 5 minutes. If you know that you have other insurance, either through mom and dad or the state, again, take that 5 minutes and just put that information in. And as Robin spoke about, if you waive off, you can enroll in the middle of the year if you have a qualifying event. So you turn 26, your parents lose their job, you lose your GA ship, whatever it is. What you can't do is say, I'm going to buy this really bare bones plan, then get sick and then say, I want to sign up for SHIP because that's a better plan. You can only change your mind voluntarily during open enrollment in August. From a process perspective, when you click on the website that Robin shared, if you click on begin, it will loop back over to the UMD site, verify that you're still a student. You'd say, yes, I want the insurance. And then if you have other insurance, again, click on submit a waiver. Very simple process. From a benefits perspective, there is no maximum. So you have $1 billion claim. They can't kick you off. There's no benefit limitations. You'll see that if you see a preferred provider, the annual deductible is lower at $250. And I will say all these numbers are on an academic year, whereas most employer plans are on a calendar year. So that $250 starts in August, not in January. So over a 4-year period, you'll get 4 deductibles and not 5. Non-preferred providers will be a bit higher. That deductible is waived for 3 things: prescriptions, preventive care, so things like the immunizations, routine GYN, routine physicals, birth control, things like that, and then care at the University Health Center. When you access care, you're going to be, for the big stuff, you'll be paying 20% of that negotiated rate. For office visits, you'll pay $25. For prescriptions, there's 3 types. Basically, tier 1, which is a generic, you'll pay $20, $40 for a tier 2, which is basically a brand name that's preferred, and then tier 3, $60, which is a non-preferred brand. Any preventive medications will be at no cost share. But when all is said and done, once all of your deductible, 20%, 25, all that stuff equates to $3,000, plan pays 100% for the rest of the year. So that's a really low amount. When we benchmark this against other Big Ten and other research institutions, this plan from a benefit and from a cost perspective is, I think it checked all the boxes except for like 1 or 2 schools. So great plan. Not going to talk a little much about this. I don't believe that this is in the state plan. It's not in most employer plans. But if you say if you get sick and you're hospitalized and you need to be flown home, they'll pay to have that flight done at 100%. They'll make all of the arrangements. Conversely, if you want to have your family member come be with you if you're hospitalized for some period of time, what most students use it for is if something happens where you have a family member, a parent, sibling that dies, they have a heart attack, typically you'd pick up the phone, you call Expedia, you'd book a last minute flight that'd be crazy expensive. Give them a call. They will physically make the flight for you and pay for that. So it's a great resource that is unique to student health. There's 2 kind of nice little value added services. So beyond the normal benefits, we have a service called Academic Live Care, which is urgent care, psychiatry, therapy, and nutrition that is all online. You'll get an email with a coupon code, and basically the charge that they have gets zeroed out. It's not meant for long, ongoing behavioral health care, but certainly great if it's the middle of finals, you're stressed, you can't see somebody back home, et cetera, et cetera. There's also an academic vision care. Now, while most insurance companies have some type of vision discount, we've kind of gone 1 step further and included some discounts on contact lenses. But there's also a virtual try on at home, kind of like the Something Parker site where you can actually try it on. You can do online prescription renewals, which is great, but it also includes discounts on non-prescription glasses. So blue light sunglasses. I actually got a pair of Ray-Bans for free. So great resource for everybody who's on student health. Dental is not included, and up until this year, there was no option. We've actually negotiated a plan with Delta Dental that is on an opt-in basis. There is no waiting period, so it's available from day 1, and you can enroll on the AHP website. Anybody who's on SHIP will get access to student resources, online accounts where you can get your ID card, find providers. What I love about it is you can also have your explanation of benefits, which is the note that says, here's how your claim was paid. You can have that sent directly to that account. So if you're on mom and dad's plan and you don't want them seeing that you're getting treatment for something, this might be a great resource. If you're in a state that requires insurance, DC or Massachusetts, then you can get your 1095B from there as well. I think these are all kind of things that we've addressed. Again, I would just say, make sure that you're covered while you're on campus. Don't assume that all PPOs are the same. Don't go to the emergency room unless it's an emergency. Really take advantage of the on-campus clinic. They do a great job there. And then I always say, keep your ID card on you, regardless of the plan itself. So contact information, we've gone over this. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up.
Excellent. Thank you for all that information, Boyce. If you can stay for a few more questions, that would be terrific. All right, let's dive back into questions. Can you please elaborate on the fee for visiting the University Health Center when holding a state of Maryland plan?
Yes, basically, when you have an insurance plan, whenever you go see a doctor, an ER, emergency room visit, or basically those two things, when you go to a doctor, there's a copay. It's called a copay. It's usually $20 or $25. Sometimes it's $30. It just depends on the plan that you have or the kind of doctor you're seeing. Sometimes if it's a regular primary care kind of doctor, the copay generally is $20 or $25. Please don't quote me on these numbers. It's just generally about that amount. But if you see a specialist like neurologist or something like that, those are specialists. Those are highly trained in a certain area, and those copays might be higher. So that's what I meant by copay. So if you have a student, if you have the state of Maryland plan, no matter where you go, you'll end up having some kind of copay that you have to pay when you go see a doctor. If you have the student health insurance plan and you go to the University Health Center for a visit, there would be no copay. That's one of the benefits of having the student plan.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. What happens if I have to go to the ER? Does it still matter if it is a PPO or an EPO?
That is a wonderful question. So I'll only answer it generally for SHIP. I don't want to misrepresent someone else's benefits. But as a general guideline, if you have an emergency, call 911, right? Like if you get hit by a car and I see somebody on their phone trying to find a preferred provider, that could be, that could be bad. So my advice would be go to the closest emergency room. Almost all plans will pay it at the in-network level. I'm sure there's some exceptions. I can't speak for EPOs, but generally it's become practice, and it may even be federal law, to cover all emergency care at the in-network level.
All right, thanks, Boyce. For the state of Maryland insurance, is the medical plan, EPO or PPO, enough to cover all the minimum requirements?
Oh, yes. I mean, in terms of submitting a waiver for SHIP, the answer to that is yes. Those plans are all considered premium plans, whether they're EPO or PPO. They're considered ACA, Affordable Care Act compliant, and they are premium plans, and they would be approved in the waiver process. So yes, they meet the qualifications for a waiver.
All right, thanks, Robin. Next question. Is academic emergency services only available through SHIP or through the state of Maryland plan as well?
I know they're available through SHIP, as Boyce had mentioned. I do not know the answer whether or not state of Maryland does that. I don't think they do, but I've never looked into that particular thing. I can try, and if I find out the answer, then I will email Debbie.
Robin, I'm almost positive the answer is no. I've
Okay.
only seen it in student health. With that said, if you believe that the state plan makes sense, you can buy a travel assistance plan on the market for $100 or so. So,
Oh, I forgot
um,
about that. So you, Boyce, I always forget about this. The students who enroll in whatever, you can have a plan somewhere else, all of that, but then go to this, AHP website and buy this particular piece. Is that
yeah.
correct? Yeah.
And if it's through us, the cost would be a bit less because we're buying it in bulk. But either way, like I wouldn't make that a deal breaker. The only place it may be is if you're a J1, where you have to have medical evacuation and repatriation as part of your visa. But beyond that, um, I wouldn't make it a deal breaker.
All right. You guys have done a great job of answering all the questions. There's no more.
Excellent. And we finished on time.
And we finished on time. So Robin and Boyce, thank you so much. I know this is a very complicated and convoluted, setup, and there are so many options. And I know you can't answer every single question, but you're just a valuable resource. And thank you so much. I also want to thank everybody, all the students who joined us today on Zoom and those who will watch this recording. It's always good for us to spend time together. I hope that you will come to our workshop next week. That one will be in person with free lunch and stamp. The topic is how to get a Maryland driver's license. So watch for announcements about that. We'll be sending out a newsletter on Wednesday. And I posted the post workshop evaluation in the chat. Please take a minute to do that. It will also be in that email that I will send to you later today or tomorrow morning. So thank you, everyone. Have a terrific week. And as always, let us know how legal aid and Robin at the grad school and Boyce at AHP can help you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right.